Hey, what is going on? You okay? Everything all right?
Hey, it's like you popped up in a dream and scared the
Wow.
hell out of me.
Hey, wow. How you doing? He's Brad Shepard. I'm Sean the Legion. You know what's funny? So we were just talking before we went on, and Shep had a brilliant idea. We were just all commiserating. Blake and Todd behind the scenes, Shep and of course yours truly. And Shep was like, why don't we just continue this conversation? Like just start rolling and
Yeah,
everything. And I'm
yeah.
Shep, I
I do miss your
Todd
house. I will
immediately
say that.
ran. Like, oh, he just, yeah, he was done. I think Blake is going to join us in just a couple minutes, but
Good,
lots
good.
of stuff going on, and we wanted to talk about it. Shep, I want to start here with you because many people know Matt Shepard, longtime voice of Michigan basketball. That certainly doesn't mean that he knows exactly everything about Dusty May, but from a distance, Shep, from a distance, what I know about him, what I read about him, I think it checks a lot of boxes. I think this is a good hire for Michigan.
I do too. I almost despise sometimes the word you've got to change the culture or the phrase you have to change the culture. But you and I have been around coaches where that's needed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's to a full I don't know if it's fully entrenched right now for Michigan, but I think he's the right guy to come in and kind of change it or move it or slightly alter it back to the way it was before. How long will that take? I don't know. I just know he's going to have to come in. He's got to obviously recruit because they don't have any players. And Michigan's got to get behind in the NIL. They got to get behind him in the NIL. I don't think you can be successful long term. Maybe a quick plunge here or there. I think you can be. But long term, if you want to compete with some of the other schools, whether it be North Carolina or Duke or hell, even Alabama, obviously UConn, you're going to have to dive into that. I don't think Michigan has done a really good job of that, and he's going to have to maneuver that. The good thing, Sean, is that he is getting into a situation that he's fully aware of.
Yep.
All right. And when you're under that, there's no false impression here. When you've got that going, you've got a little runway, but you also understand you have a clear vision of what needs to be done. Can he do it? I don't know, but he has a clear vision of what needs to be done. I liken it to Jonathan Smith at Michigan State. I really do. He comes in, he knows exactly what needs to be done. Doesn't mean it's going to turn around like that.
Right.
But he does understand the situation in which he's coming. He wanted to be in East Lansing. Dusty May wanted to be in Ann Arbor. I think that's part of the battle. Good for them.
You know what? I had a chance to talk to Coach Smith right afterwards. And I think, Shep, one of the most underrated things about a hire is understanding where you are and understanding what you are.
Yeah.
And I don't think enough is put into that. And it was so interesting talking to him and hearing his vision and the fact that, as you said, he wanted to be there. You have to know where you're going into, okay? Not just the current situation, but I think the history and know a lot about what has made a place successful. And in talking to Coach Smith, Shep, I told him point blank, I said, this is a guy that understands what Michigan State football is, what it can be as well. And I don't think you can put a price tag on that.
I don't either. I think what we do is we take certain people associated with certain schools and we measure everybody against them. Tom Izzo is the standard in East Lansing. Every coach is going to be measured against him. Do you want to be here and win as badly as Tom Izzo? That's something Coach Smith is going to have to deal with. Dusty May will have to do the same thing and answer that with some of the other coaches who have been at Michigan and left their legacy too, I think.
Yeah. You know what? Can we talk about college hockey for a second?
I would love to, because I was thinking, don't take this the wrong way, but I was thinking about you Saturday night because I was watching a lot of college basketball and I was at a friend's house. He gave me the clicker and I immediately found the Michigan State hockey game. And I was flipping back and forth between college basketball and that hockey game. And that hockey game was super entertaining. I told everybody in the room, some of them were a little bit of college hockey fans, not super hockey fans. And I said to him, I go, you guys, this is an unbelievably entertaining game. And it was. And for them now to be in the same bracket, when you got Michigan State, Western Michigan, North Dakota against Michigan, you could see if Michigan beats North Dakota, State beats Western Michigan, you could have them meet what will be a sixth time, Sean, this year.
Yep.
That would be incredible theater. The only thing that would make it better is if they would be able to meet in the Frozen Four.
No doubt. No doubt. For people out there, Shep, you've called a lot of college hockey in the past, and I had a chance to call games in particular at Michigan State. I wanted to ask you, I don't think the average human understands how good college hockey is now. I'm a firm believer in that. This gone are the days of, all these guys are 21, 22, 23 years old. You're getting a lot of young players come in. You're getting, guys, blue chip caliber coming in. What is keeping college hockey from really exploding? I mean, it's big around here. Make no mistake about it. And certainly what Coach Naurato is doing in Ann Arbor, you give a tip of the cap to that. Certainly what Coach Nightingale is doing at Michigan State. Do you have any thoughts on that, Shep? Because in my mind, college hockey should be huge. And yes, we missed the GLI. It was such a great event and having the CCHA playoffs there and everything. But what's kind of holding college hockey back from blowing up?
College hockey, universities, television rights.
Okay.
Personally, I don't think hockey in general, not just college hockey. I don't think the NHL does a good job. I don't think the OHL. I'm not around the OHL enough. So, people in Canada would know that better than I would. But from a college hockey standpoint, even the AHL and the NHL, I think they have some of the worst marketing people in the history of sports. I don't think they take advantage of their athletes. They don't get them out front and center. I think they should be doing way more endorsements instead of just on the NHL network or on NHL.com. They should be out there doing a lot more than that, and they don't do it. College hockey. Let's talk specifically Big Ten. When the Big Ten network began, they made this big promise that they were going to do a lot of college hockey. You remember it? I was part of it the first year. It was great. We were traveling all over the place. Suddenly the next year, it's all remote. You have the announcers at the games, but everybody else stays back because of production costs. And the NHL, the Big Ten athletic directors and presidents, they didn't say much about it. It didn't matter to them. They used to do a pregame show and a big wrap-up show and everything, and they've really gone, bare bones on it now, Sean, and it's really unfortunate. I think college hockey's big. It's bigger now than when you and I were doing shows on the radio together.
No
I can
question.
tell you that.
No question.
And there's no doubt that the impact college hockey has had on the NHL, because I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 33%, 32%, maybe up to 38% now, people who are playing in the NHL played in college. That was never the case before. It's larger. Arizona State has a Division I program.
Yep.
It is. You're getting kids from California and Texas and Arizona from out west. It's thriving. We just don't pay enough attention to it because the media is not there to cover it. How many times did you go into I can't tell you how many times I went into a press conference of Ron Mason's, of Rick Comley's, of Red Berenson, and you've got the student newspaper. You've got a few other people, maybe, but nobody from local television, nobody from major radio. You're lucky if you can get a sports talk show host to talk Red Wings hockey in Detroit, let alone college hockey. So don't even try to go there, because all that is, well, sorry, I'm going to turn that off. Oh, my phone lines aren't lighting up because no one wants to talk about what a great job that Adam Nightingale has done in East Lansing. Oh, I guess I got to move on. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it is. And, you talk about Red, and I had a chance to catch up with him a couple of weeks ago. And it was funny because we were talking about Shep. I put him on all the time. I mean, he is hockey royalty. He really is. When you look at his career, when you look at his coaching, when you look at the impact that he's made, not just on Michigan, on the game. I mean, after all, the dude scored 6 goals in a hockey game as well. But, that he's just sitting back going, I used to love when we would talk on the radio. We want to tell people about this product. And to me, Shep, I'm so glad to hear you say that you had the same feeling I had Saturday. That's a win for everybody. It's a win for Michigan, although it doesn't feel like a win. It's a win for Michigan State. It's a win for
Sean,
college
where is
hockey.
it? Tell me this. If you didn't watch that.
Pan out.
Okay. So you and I watched it. Let's say Blake didn't.
Okay.
What website would you tell him to go to find out the game recap and the details of what took place?
That's a great point.
Okay. Go to big10.org and it's hard enough to find it, for crying out loud. Okay. I don't even know if it's fans' fault. We just don't do it. And it's really unfortunate. How many highlights did you see of that game on, well, I don't watch local news, but on anything? Did you see anything? Hell no. I mean, is it on any of the major sports networks? Does anybody even consider talking about it outside the little niche program that they may have that is associated with hockey? Hell no. If there's a great goal, if there's a great save, if there's somebody doing a shootout in between periods where they get the puck in the little hole and they make some money, sure, they may show it. Nobody's showing these highlights. Shame on us. We'll see 15 million dunks, but we won't see many college hockey people talking. It's unfortunate.
No, it is. And I can tell you this as somebody who has followed this at all levels. So, you know, I did OHL broadcast for years. I was fortunate to do a few in college hockey as well. I can't stress this enough. The caliber of player now in college hockey is so much better than it was. Forget about when we were younger. Okay. Even 10, 15 years ago, Shep, the guys that they're getting into college hockey now are unbelievable. And I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And I'm not just talking about the result. Of course, the result helped a little bit. But I mean, all jokes aside, it was an enjoyable game. It was
people want to go and play college hockey now. That's a big difference.
Huge difference.
That is massive, man. But I will say this. I remember talking to Red Berenson when the Big Ten Network first formed. I said to Red, is this good for college hockey? He said, this is good for the Big Ten. It's not good for college hockey. And I said, why? He said, think about it. Lake Superior State, Northern Michigan, Bowling Green, Western Michigan, all needed us and Notre Dame and Michigan State to go play in their barn. We would see them 4 times a year, a weekend at Bowling Green, a weekend in Ann Arbor. You won't get that anymore. Now you're going to get them playing all over the place. You're not going to be able to have your schedule with those smaller schools or those mid-major programs that rely on the Michigan or Michigan State or Notre Dame getting through that gate. Instead, you have the Big Ten. And you know what? I think people in the WCHA don't like it. I don't think Minnesota and Wisconsin, I still don't think they've warmed to the Big Ten. They like their traditional rivals with North Dakota and Nebraska, Omaha, and Minnesota State and Bemidji State and places like that. It's been great for the pocketbook, but I don't know if it's been great for college hockey in general.
No, that's a legitimate point. Boy, those were the days, though. I mean, Lake State always seemed to have a wagon, didn't they? I mean, Jeff Jackson there, those teams were so good. And, you know, again, I need to remind people that was an era where, you know, players moving on was few and far between. That's not the case anymore. These guys, I mean, obviously there are a slew of high draft choices playing on these teams right now, not to mention guys that are going to go high. I mean, Michigan State's defenseman's probably going to go top 5. I'd be stunned if he doesn't go top 5. And, you know, again, that is a change from yesteryear. But I think most importantly, I think if you want to tell people about your product, you have to have a good product. And it is a damn good product now.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. The NHL is a wonderful product. Why don't they talk about their product? Where are they, Sean?
I would agree with you 100%. I think the way that they promote themselves is embarrassing. I do.
How do they promote themselves? Do they even promote themselves?
No.
Think about this. Sidney Crosby, how old is he? 36, 35?
87's 13. He'll be 37 this summer.
Okay. So he's going to be 37 this summer. He's got a Pittsburgh record of 30 goals or more in 12 consecutive seasons. He beat Mario Lemieux's record. It's not Yager. It's not Lemieux. It's Sidney Crosby. How many commercials do you see him on? Outside of the NHL network and outside of him having a hockey stick behind his back doing this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Connor McDavid is an unbelievable player. Where's the endorsements in America, right? Where's Nathan McKinnon? Where are all these people? But it's never been that way. They may be in their local markets, okay? But how did in the day, how did Steve Yzerman or Brendan Shanahan not have some type of national product to endorse? I don't give a crap if it's a Subway sandwich or a Jimmy Johnson. I don't care. How is the NHL not pushing for their athletes or fun, easy to go in, good looking dudes in front of a camera? It makes no sense whatsoever. I think about it all the time. I'm like, are you kidding me? Now Wayne Gretzky's doing a BetMGM. Big deal.
Yeah.
Where's it been?
Yeah.
Where was Mark Messier? Where was Paul Correa? Where were these guys?
Especially the guys playing in the American markets. I mean, the guys that you mentioned, right. I think America discovered Wayne Gretzky after August 9th, 1988. And exactly. In the meantime, we've been sitting there for the last 9 years going, you ain't seen nothing. I mean, the guy was absolutely nuts. Look who decided to join the conversation. See, we're just three cats just sitting here talking about things. Young Blake. I'm sure you heard the conversation. The NHL, I'm a firm believer you're never going to win some people over. And let me use me as an example. I don't care how much you try to shove NASCAR down my throat. And I mean no disrespect to people out there that enjoy it. Yeah. I'm never going to enjoy it. It's just not going to happen. I have a preconceived notion. I openly admit it. And I think a lot of people feel that way about hockey. But you, Blake, as an East Sider, I know there are pockets of huge support on the East Side, I might add. Especially in this era where the Wings have been down by their lofty standards that, Shep and I had grown accustomed to over the last 30 years. How was the game amongst you and your peers? I mean, was it even on the radar?
Yeah, I mean, because for me, I grew up like when the Wings were still good. Like I was in high school in 08, 09. But what Shep was just talking about sent something spinning in my brain. Baseball has the same problem, if not worse, because baseball, I feel like, is not as regional as hockey. And they have the same exact issues. Their marketing is horrible, in my opinion.
Well, they do have some guys. Julio Rodriguez does some stuff. Juan Soto does some stuff. Mike Trout just did a little bit with Subway. Mm-hmm. There are certain guys who are being marketed by Major League Baseball. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not Major League Baseball. Maybe it's their agency. Maybe it's their team. I don't know. I just know this. When it comes to hockey, not enough guys are doing what they should do. I want you to think about this for a second. And I like Shaquille O'Neal very much. I would use him as a pitch man too. He's on every other commercial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Charles Barkley's on every other commercial.
Yep.
Those guys haven't played in how long? And yet you don't see any hockey players. And to Blake's point, not enough baseball players either. It's basketball or football. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Travis Kelce. They're shoving it. Now, it can work against you, I think. I think you can be, overexposed. But you would think people would suddenly, something would click with them. When Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, Blake, you're too young, but when Sean and I were kids, here comes a limousine of Magic Johnson pulling up to French Lick, Indiana, pulls off the sweatpants. They're supporting Converse, right?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, be like Mike, right? How come hockey can't come up with something like that for one of their superstars? It parlays a creativity. It parlays people's interest in not just the player and not just the player's team, but the entire sport that they play. Caitlin Clark gets more pub than any hockey player I've ever seen.
Factual statement. And Shep, I'm not saying it isn't deserved or anything like that.
Me
okay?
either.
I mean,
Me either.
Been phenomenal. Yeah,
right.
I know you are. But that is 100% factual statement. It is amazing. Hey, let's take a quick break. I want to tell you about Lindsay Broadwell. And if you are in the market for a new home, you're buying, you're selling, both. Well, you need to contact the right agent. That agent is Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you will ever make, and that's why you need to go with a pro. Lindsay grew up on the main streets of Northville, and she's expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business, and when it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and that everything goes smoothly when you're finding your new home. Buyer, seller, first-time buyer, doesn't matter. Make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She will help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Shep, Blake, we're all having a conversation here today. I think Blake decided to leave. He got offended and he left. There he is.
I'm
Hi, buddy.
here.
He just wanted to see what the Pistons lost by 25.
Can I say again, rebuilds are not easy. They are not. I know every armchair general manager thinks that, Shep, all you have to do is tank. Blake, all you have to do is tank, and everything's going to be okay. If you just tank, don't worry. In a few years, everything's going to be okay because you're going to get all those high draft picks and voila. It doesn't work as easy
Trust the process.
as people make it out to be. I hate to go back to hockey. You know how my brain works, but ask the Columbus Blue Jackets, ask the Edmonton Oilers. You know, I mean, the Pistons were the prototypical hamster on a wheel for so many years. As easy it is to talk about rebuild, it's much more difficult to make it come to fruition. And boy, we're living that right now with the Pistons.
Yeah, 100%. But it also highlights this. All it takes is one or two bad drafts to send you further and deeper into that rebuild.
100%.
When Donovan Mitchell's there and you don't take him, but good thing for Stan Van Gundy is that he got another job and now he's doing TV. I've said this ad nauseum, and I'll continue to say it because I don't think I'm reaching enough people. Stan Van Gundy was as bad, if not worse, at his job than Matt Millen was at his.
No argument. No argument. And Shep, in this town, unfortunately, because the Pistons were off the radar for so many years, I don't think people realize that. And, again, you got to, Blake, this is when you were young. We were at the home of the Pistons during that hot era. I mean, 03 to 08. I think we all know the run of conference championships and everything, but there was a night out was going to the Palace of Auburn Hills. I mean, that was almost like a social event and everything. And because they've been off the radar for so long, that's the way this town is. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, if we're being honest with it, the one constant has been the Lions. The Lions have been almost universally supported. But with the other teams, we've seen fans come and go from those arenas. And certainly the Pistons are front and center and living that right now.
Yeah, I would say the Wings too. I know there was the Dead Wings when you and I were kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have it's not as broad. You have the same 20,000 for the most part at Little Caesars, but I think they've been universally supported. I would say over the last 30 years. I would say so.
Pretty much. There have been periods of lull.
Of lull, yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of that has to do with the fact that obviously the Lions are playing 8 home games and the Wings are playing 41. But you're right. I don't think Detroit's unique in that regard, unless you're in New York where you've got 9 million people and they're losing people by the day. But New York's got so many people they can go to those. In Detroit, your entertainment dollars got to go a long way. Are you going to spend it on a team that is struggling mightily? Unless they're helping you give tickets away. Probably not.
When my kid was little, to tell you it's not just a Detroit problem. Here's Chicago, this giant metropolis. We used to go to White Sox games all the time and sit wherever the hell we wanted. He'd be ticked off. Go, let's go to Wrigley Field. I want to go see the Cubs. I was like, screw you. I'm not paying hundreds of dollars. I'm going El Cheapo to sit in the second row at the White Sox game. And
sure.
You're absolutely right. I mean, that's something that happens everywhere. Blake, what are your thoughts on the NBA? I don't think you and I have ever talked about this. Big fan of the NBA, just meh.
Wake me up when the playoffs start. And honestly, the way it's been the last few years, it's wake me up when like the Western and Eastern Conference finals start. It's just I'm not a huge, and like we've talked. I enjoy basketball. I really get into March Madness. It's just the NBA. I don't know what it is. I just have never latched onto it, and it's not like I was super into it even as a kid. It's just something I've never really super latched onto.
How much do you watch? Do you watch just the Pistons, or are you watching Nikola Jokic? Are you watching Luka Doncic or Giannis Antetokounmpo or
If there's,
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander of Oklahoma City? I mean, how much are you watching?
I'll watch like the TNT games from time to time. I'll turn them on like as background, but they still don't keep my attention. And to be frankly honest with you, I don't have Bally Sports because I have YouTube TV. So catching a Pistons game is far and few between.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The TV deals for all three of these leagues, by the way,
Yeah.
don't do any of them favors.
100%.
Any of them.
Not with younger people.
No.
I think the older people are still unwilling to cut the cord. But I do think younger people, they've got to find a way to get it. And that's part of the problem with Valley right now that they're experiencing.
As I've gotten older, I'm telling you point blank, and you can call me out, whatever you want. If there's a hockey game on, that's what I'm watching.
For
You
sure.
know, before when I was doing the daily talk show and everything, Shep, I mean, yeah, you know, okay, let's see what's going on here. I got to check out this game. What Steph Curry do tonight?
Mhm.
Point blank, I'm going to tell you, I don't watch hardly any NBA anymore because, you know, I mean, for example, tonight when I go upstairs, there's going to be a hockey game on. I don't know what game's on. I haven't looked at the schedule.
Las
but
Vegas is playing St. Louis. Yeah.
Right, but you know what I mean. I mean that's it. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go upstairs, and okay, if I click this channel 717, that's where you know the whole thing comes down. And there's a slew of channels, about 15 channels, where okay, I can watch this game, I can watch that game, and I think as I've gotten older. And I am one of those guys. You guys can make fun of me. I do enjoy the college game for the little things. Hey, wow, we're going to actually play some defense, and oh wow, this is how you use a center and things like that. So I have enjoyed the college game more. But point blank, I know I'm not exactly surprising anybody. If there's a hockey game on, that's what I'm watching now.
Yeah, I watched the other day. So yesterday, Washington wins 3-0. I watched Ovechkin score a couple of times. I watched the presentation for TJ Oshie playing his 1,000th game. I thought that was awesome. I watched Colorado and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was up 4-goose. Crosby had a goal and 2 assists in the first 3 goals. And then Colorado comes storming back, and Jonathan Drouin wins it with 54 seconds into overtime. 5-4. They've won 9 in a row. Those are things that are captivating me. But I'll tell you, man, some of the basketball stuff's been pretty intriguing for me. Jalen Brunson and the way some of the Anthony Edwards is playing with Minnesota. Some of these pushes by some of these players, you know, we're always looking for younger faces, right? We're looking for guys who are going to give us energy. You watch Anthony Edwards of Minnesota play, you get hooked. You watch Luka Doncic play, you get hooked. Those guys can play, man. It's fun to watch those guys. Now, they're not playing as much defense. I mean, it depends on, I guess, a lot of it depends on what you want, too. I mean, if you look at the NBA, last night, the Lakers won 150-145 over Indiana. Indiana's the number 1 scoring team in the league. Anthony Davis had 36 and 16. He was fun to watch. And I get it. When you're 6'11", you should be dunking a lot. That dude's got unbelievable game. He's had it for a long time. LeBron James gets all the love, but Anthony Davis has been integral. Spencer Dinwiddie, former Piston, cut him. And here's a guy who, you know, he had a big night for him. I think if you can find that balance, there's some things that it's gonna entertain you a little bit.
Can I give you guys the dumb sports fan take though?
Sure, go.
They make shots too well. Like there's something intriguing about college basketball because these kids are missing shots and they're not automatic.
Yeah, that's what
and I know it doesn't make any sense, but it makes it more intriguing.
Huh. It's automatic. Yeah, Shep, you bring up an era long gone because Blake, I can tell you when the Pistons were in the late years, even before the Palace of Auburn Hills opened, when they were at the Silverdome, they would have this thing. If they scored 115 points, you got half off of Buddy's Pizza. If they scored 130 points, the whole place would erupt because that meant you got a free small Buddy's Pizza. Greatest promotion ever. You never saw. You never.
Maybe they ought to go back to that, Sean.
Especially now, you didn't have a chance of doing that. I mean, you didn't have a snowball's chance of hell in doing that for a long period of time in the NBA. And now some of these games, as you just mentioned, Shep, some of these games you are seeing that more score, the higher scoring and everything. But are you kidding me? That was so much fun. We're a high schooler. We'd all play that routine of, hey, Mom, I'm going to Shep's house tonight. And Shep would say, hey, Mom, I'm going to Sean's house. And then, hey, I'm going to Blake's house. We'd go there and then go get free pizza. Are you kidding me?
That's
Chuck never missed a bunny one time and Chuck at 128, and I'll never forgive him for it.
Chuck never. John Crash Mengel. Here's the one thing I would say to that. Blake, Purdue shot 62.5% before their starters were pulled the other day.
Yes.
Zach Edey, and I know you don't like him, but Zach Edey's a guy who, I mean, he's dropping them left and right. I mean, there's some of those college guys. North Carolina shot the hell out of. They shot him. In the words of my friend Terry Mills, he shot the blood out of the ball.
Did they?
I'm saying big picture. I mean, I agree with you, and obviously that's like the dumb sports fan meatball take. Like, I don't truly 100% believe that, but there is something like just about the chaos of you don't know if this kid is going to make every shot. When I watch an NBA game, more likely than not, they're making their shots.
Sean, Blake and I, before you jumped on, we were talking. He has a little bit of vitriol for Zach Edey.
Why do you hate Zach Edey? I never knew this. This is a confession.
Go ahead. Go ahead and say it.
It's because he's been there for so long. He's given me the time to build up hate and animosity towards him. He's actually been there for 4 years. He's a throwback. He's 22. Been there. He's played his whole career at one school, so I've actually had time to build up hate and disdain towards him, which is rare in college basketball.
It is. It's rare, but my argument to Blake has been this, Sean. If they're one and done, you think they're greedy. If they go 2 years and then transfer, you think they're greedy because of the NIL. If you stay 4 years, like it was old school, then suddenly you can't stand them. How is it a player who's been that good for that long? Granted, he's 7'11", but how is this player supposed to win you over?
He's not. He goes to Purdue, so he's screwed.
Well, there you go. There you go. Then you can't stand Lawyer. You can't stand Braden Smith. You can't stand Matt Painter. You can't stand any of the guys who go to Purdue then.
You know what? Point. So I was at this is how nerdy my friends and I were. We went to the 93 draft at the Palace. If you remember, the draft was at the Palace, the Chris Webber draft. Yeah. And it's so funny because you go back and you look at that draft. I knew every one of those guys. I kid you not. There was an even money chance that I at least saw them. I really think part of it is when I look at these drafts, I don't know any of these kids.
You did know who Lindsey Hunter was when they drafted.
I did know who Lindsey Hunter was.
You did know who Allen Houston. I was at the draft too. I was at that draft at the Palace.
Yep.
And Allen Houston, I remember when they drafted Allen Houston. I was like, this is awesome.
I thought
they got their shooter from Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yep. No doubt.
Yeah.
Hey, Blake, I'm going to surprise Shep with some special video. Can we play that right now? This was really cool. Our buddy Joe Neville, Shep, I'm sure you know we're having this alumni game. It's the second one of the Alumni Cup series. And the first one was against the Bruins back in September, and this one is going to be against the Rangers coming up April 27th. And Vladdy is a part of this. Blake, do you have those videos ready?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that when I play this, your mics will get muted. So I just wanted you to tee it up.
Take a look at this, Shep.
Try to make yourself come.
He's like, no.
There you go. Yeah. Nice shot. Just all the way here. Then you can get up.
Great job.
That is so cool.
Isn't that cool? They're having a sled game beforehand. Kim Muir is involved in a lot of the stuff that goes on there. And Vladdy was out there. Thanks to our friends, not only from GH Pastor, but from WDIV as well. Vladdy was out there playing sled hockey. I mean,
that warms my heart, man.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah. Oh, just absolutely. Boy, Shep, there are moments in life that I
Mhm.
think, and this is beyond your years, Blake, but man, when you heard about that limo crash and you heard, I'll never forget that Friday night. I will never ever forget that, Shep. I was just freshly in the business, but I wasn't in this market, and it was just, I mean, from the ultimate high, right? The Red
Yep.
Wings finally did it. 42 years, and they were partying, and by the way, partying responsibly.
Correct.
And you hear that story, it's still the most heartbreaking. Gosh, one of those moments you'll just never ever forget.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There are certain places, certain events where you just go, I remember where I was. And with that situation, you went from so high to so low with so much concern over a great player. And then as the years go by, you started thinking, think of how much, what were the possibilities for that
Yep.
franchise had they not lost a franchise changing defenseman? How great a player he truly was. But to see that and to see him at some Red Wings games and the way the acknowledgement continues, it warms my heart.
Really does. Just he's going to be out there. He was out at the first game, and he's going to be out at the second game as
So
well. So,
cool.
yeah, get a chance to see him. Let me take a second and tell you about our friends with Wealth Advantage Group. You've heard me talk about the handsome fellas right there, and if you are ready to take charge of your financial future, well, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group, located in historic downtown Northville, owned by those two guys, two brothers with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are. That's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, or already in retirement, they can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life and have clients in over 20 states. The investment world, it is a complex one. So if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, it might be time to work with a couple of experts. That's when you reach out to these guys, the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574, or view their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Shep, the tournament reminds us every year, and I know Blake touched on this, the tournament reminds us every year about how great it is. And I was telling Blake, I really think part of the secret sauce that makes the tournament so great is what made the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs so great to me. If you remember, that started in the first week of August. When you can turn on your television at noon and there's a
Mhm.
game on, I don't get, that's the secret sauce. And that playoff just really sticks out to me because it was like, okay, we got a game at at noon, got a game at 4, got a game at 8, got another game at 10:30, whatever the case may be. Just having that ability the first 2 days of the tournament, and of course, around here with Michigan State starting at 12:15 on Thursday, there's just something special about that each and every year.
I agree 100%. It's what I love the emotion that you get from the players and the fans. And I
Yep.
think this is perhaps, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but maybe what Blake was alluding to when you compare the NCAA tournament to the NBA. It's really hard to do, but it's not just the emotion you're feeling. I mean, it really is one of those situations, Sean, where it forces people. Like I think of the Oakland situation. All right. So the NCAA tournament every year it creates new fan bases and with each possession it seems like you're learning something. How many people knew outside of our area? How many people knew in the college basketball stage that Oakland University was in Rochester Hills?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
They thought it was in Oakland, California. How many
Yep.
people knew that James Madison played out of the Sun Belt or Duquesne was in Pittsburgh just getting overshadowed? But it's not just that. It's the players like Terrence Edwards. It's the players like Jack Golke, right, who transferred from Division II. But on top of that, what I did is I kind of like to look for certain storylines within this tournament of teams I know they're not going to be there. So Grand Canyon is a good example. There's a
Yeah.
kid by the name of Tyon Grant Foster. He was a freshman at DePaul. He collapsed, had a heart attack. A year later, he collapsed during a pickup game, couldn't get cleared for 16 months. This year, he led the Antelopes in scoring.
Isn't that great?
There's a kid who played for Sanford, all right? His name's Achora Achora. He was born in the Sudan. His mom took him and his family out of the Sudan because of the civil war there, and they moved to Australia. And he was a big rugby guy. And he just started playing basketball in his teens. Suddenly, he goes to Georgia, Decatur, Georgia, plays at a school there, then goes and plays for a community college, and then gets a scholarship to Stanford. I mean, those are stories. Where else are you going to hear those stories? You're hearing those stories through the NCAA tournament, and it's phenomenal stuff. It's
And-
not just basketball; it's cool life stuff.
Shep, it's so funny that you mentioned Grand Canyon as well. That the tournament is so unique that you remember these random players who made random shots. I mean, Bryce Drew.
Bryce Drew, right.
How on earth was that 26 years ago? I remember that plain as day. And
Right.
you know, Pitsnoggle and these names that come up that really don't go on to other things,
Mhm.
but are so unique, in particular, in my mind, to the first weekend of the tournament. Because, you know, I remember when I was doing Toledo, and you're familiar with your stuff with Eastern.
Yeah.
I remember Miami under Charlie Coles went on this run to the Sweet 16, and Wally Zerbiak.
Sure.
Everybody was talking up Wally Zerbiak. Anybody that followed the MAC is like, huh? This guy's a stud. He's been a stud for a while, but
Mhm.
I think it's introducing it to the masses and really imprinting on you that name. So 25 years later, you can bring up those names, and I think the memories come flooding back. And it's again, I think it's the secret sauce of this tournament is those day games where a lot of people are sitting in the office because they're doing their silly pools or whatever the case may be, and you know everybody's oohs, and that's the beautiful thing about this tournament.
Yeah, I think of guys like Dan Marley at Central Michigan, Grant
Perfect.
Long at Eastern Michigan,
Mhm.
Ron Harper at Miami, Gary Trent at Ohio University. We're talking, the mid majors, the smaller schools. The Pittsnoggle was a great story. That was West Virginia.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mike Gansby, for example. Those are all phenomenal stories because we get inundated with the Dukes and the North Carolinas and the Syracuse and the UCLAs and all that other stuff. But when you see these other schools and you see some of these kids play, you think to yourself, man, he'd fit in fine with this team or that team within the Power Five conference. And I love the chip on the shoulder. The hard part, I got in this debate with somebody the other day. They said, I don't mind the upsets in the first round, but eventually I want to see the blue bloods. And it took me back a little bit. I said,
Yeah.
what? Why?
Yeah.
The whole point of March Madness and the NCAA tournament has been the beauty of what can be.
Yep.
And the fact that you don't know what you're going to get. And this person just stood fast. I said, so you just want to see chalk every year? I don't want to see that. I want to see the great stories and the teams that who knows if they use this to their advantage and suddenly they become not a blue blood, but a force a little
Yeah.
bit later on. At some point, Sean, Gonzaga went past being a cute little story.
100%.
And now they're a threat on a pretty regular basis.
I always use the term one of the usual suspects. They're one of the usual suspects. I mean, they really are. I mean, it's amazing how that, and it's funny you mentioned DePaul. My son went to DePaul when we were younger. Ray Meyer had teams year in, year out. They were a wagon. And I mean,
Mark
DePaul
McGuire was the first overall pick.
It's insane. And that's what happens. You lose a legend and you can fall off a cliff quick, fast, in a hurry. It's amazing how that works out.
Think about this. At DePaul, you had Mark Aguirre, Terry Cummings, Rod Strickland. Those are three damn good basketball players. There's a lot of big-time programs that can't say they've had that many great players, those three types of great players within their program, and be as successful at the next level, too.
My kid's first week at DePaul, Shep, he calls me up. Hey, bud, how's everything going? You enjoying school? He's like, yeah, Dad, they have a statue of this guy like near the basketball arena. Okay, well, okay, who is it? That's some guy named Ray Meyer. And I kind of sat there just for a second, like thinking to myself, are you kidding me? I haven't done my job as a parent. But then you think about it. the guy retired 15 years before my son was born. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I grew up. I mean, DePaul was the year that Michigan State won the championship in '79. You made reference to it earlier. They were one of the Final Four teams.
Yeah.
Along with Penn. I think Penn was the other team. It's crazy when you think about that.
Was Notre Dame the other team? I'm trying to think.
I
That was
think
Kelly
that, I
Tripucka,
think
right?
that beat the week before. I think it was
Okay.
Indiana State over DePaul and Michigan State pounded Penn. Are you going to deny the Quakers and their illustrious history?
I think you're right there because I think Michigan State beat Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
I think they beat them in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Right. Yeah.
Very quickly, we only have a couple minutes left. Let me tell you about the Motor City Rockers. Big weekend for the playoff-bound Motor City Rockers as they come back home, and you have a great opportunity to see them out at Big Boy Arena. 2 games this weekend. How about Friday night? Yep, they're dropping the puck with the Columbus River Dragons. Puck drop at 7:35. And then Saturday, how about a 6:05 start against the Binghamton Black Bears? So get out there, be a part of the action. They're heading to the playoffs. It's a great story. Gordy Brown's done such a good job there. For tickets, go to mcrockershockey.com.
One of the cooler logos too, man. One of the cooler logos
cool?
you're going to find. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guitar as the hockey stick. Very well.
They get it. And Shep, this goes back. It's amazing how sometimes you can go full circle. It goes back to they do a good job of trying to get the word out there and doing different things in the community and trying different things. And unfortunately for, I think, a lot of people, that's what hockey has to do. You know, I get it. They're going to be, you're never going to win Bubba and his double wide in Arkansas over. It's never going to happen. Bubba, NASCAR race, you know, watching the socks go around in a circle in my dryer, or hockey, he's going to watch the different colored socks go around in a circle in my dryer.
You got a problem with the banjo, Sean?
Dude,
got a problem with the banjo?
You remember my old bit. I want the Collegian 5 double aught, man. I'm going to bunch of different colored socks through my see-through thing. I'm going to charge these guys $20 and they can, and the one that come up first, he the winner. And that's what I'm going to charge people $20.
And wait a minute. They dip with you. So I'd be careful with that.
We're gonna $20. You get to watch these different colored socks go around in a circle in the dryer. No, seriously, I mean no disrespect, to each their own. Lord knows people have killed me for liking hockey, and that's fine. But that's part of what hockey's up against. So there's just some people that are never, there are people in the local media that part of their bit, part of their routine is just bash on the sport. And, you know, I'm never going to change your mind.
All I know is every time we get together, you should do that little bit right there because somebody's going to buy it. Somebody's got to buy that. I'm not kidding you. Oh, hello, Cooper.
Todd, can you make a logo for the Collegian 5 double aught? Is there any way?
Can you do that? I mean, sponsored by Skoll. Sponsored by Copenhagen.
It's a great idea. I got
and you know what the line is? First one come out, be the winner.
And the first one would come out, he the winner. Could have a little, you know, the guy, I'll give whoever picks the winning sock, he gets a tin of chew. It only costs him $20. That's a fair deal. He gets all that entertainment and a tin of chew.
You know, this comes full circle.
Yeah.
You know who used to advertise for chew? Remember Randy White, the defensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys?
You know, I remember Walt Garrison. Remember little pinch between the cheek and down.
The running back. Both of them did it.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah, that they don't have things like that anymore, man. That's
you get arrested for that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Hey, let me tell you about Legacy before we get out of here. Really appreciate Legacy being a part of this. Great guys, Joe, Alex, and Dave, and thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance. What are you waiting for? Call, get your free quote. Our friends at Legacy Partners are here to help you out, because they are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents, provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal, business, large, and small. They've helped out many people just like you by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you. And yeah, they're saving you money. Isn't that what it's all about? Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're paying too much and you could be underinsured. So what are you waiting for? Get your quote today. Give Legacy Partners a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. 586-209-4106 or visit legacypartnersins.com. Get started with your new quotes. It's that simple. 586-209-4106. Shep, we are 30 days away from the NFL draft. I think, yeah, there's the dog. Yeah. Come here. Now see where he's sitting right at my feet. Cole's sitting right at my feet.
It's unbelievable.
Aren't they the best? They're the best. Shep, 30 days away from the NFL draft, and I've been saying this to anybody that listens. I still don't think the average fan understands that hundreds of thousands of fans are going to be coming upon Detroit. This is a massive event, one of the biggest events on the sports calendar every year.
Here's the good news. Detroit has proven, you and I have been there time and time again, Detroit has proven that they do big events really well.
Yep.
All-Star game, NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, a Super Bowl, World Series, you name it, Ryder Cup, major championships. They're Frozen Fours. They've got the regional championship this weekend at LCA. Blake's going to go watch Zach Edey play. All those things, Detroit does really, really well. So I'm excited for the city. I'm not going down there, but I'm excited for the city because I think it's going to be fantastic. And it gives other people from outside our area a chance to see what our area has become and how well Detroit, Michigan does stuff.
I always go back to Super Bowl 40, and you and I were down there all week in various forms. And I thought one of the smartest things that they did is they embraced their winter aspect of things.
Agreed.
And Shep, I'll never forget, I was terrified, especially when we had the snowstorm the day before. I was terrified that you were going to get all these people who talk about how they're there to do a job. I was terrified they were all going to cry about the snow and the cold, and I should be in Miami. Everybody seemed to love it because the city embraced it and they made the winter wonderland kind of motif and everything. And it just went over so smoothly because I remember vividly talking on press row going, people are going to kill us. If we get this 6-7 inches of snow, we are just going to get destroyed. Everybody seemed to love it. They had everything cleared by the next day, and they really made that go off without a hitch. And
I remember telling a lot of people,
events, man.
I remember telling a lot of people out of town, I said, you got to understand, know where you're going.
Yep.
I mean, if you want Miami, don't sign up for the assignment.
Yep.
Know going in, you're going to Detroit in January. What do you expect? So just have an open mind. And I think for the most part, to your point, most people did. So credit to them too. Yeah.
Yep. All right, Shep, we'll talk again in a couple of days. Always
good to see you, man.
Yeah, my pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Have a great week. I'll talk to you later in the week. Blake, Todd, thanks for all your help. You guys are the best, man.
We'll see you, boys. Take care.